Hey folks, this is the second part of my response to the debate, does God exist? In the first part, if you recall, I spoke about the contingency argument that is frequently put forward by believers and theists, and I showed you how the contingency argument, while being a pretty intuitive and powerful argument, why it doesn't prove the existence of God. At this point, I want to say something. I typically do not like to debate this issue. I used to debate this issue a lot, but now I don't do it because I feel it's pointless. There is no way anybody can prove really the existence of God through real evidence, and there is no way somebody like me can disprove it too. So this is something called an unfalsifiable claim. Like I cannot prove it wrong. I cannot prove it, or I mean somebody else cannot prove it, and I cannot disprove it. But the reason why I'm making this video is only because the Mufti, the Islamic scholar, claimed at the very beginning of his debate with Javed Akhtar that he's going to prove the existence of God not by using theology or religious scripture, but purely through science and logic. And I felt that that's something I need to address. Even though if somebody claims that God exists just because they believe in it and it's their faith, or they have a personal anecdote or a personal story, I don't have an argument against it because that's their blind faith. And I strongly feel that the belief in God is firmly in the realm of blind faith. But so if somebody claims that they can prove it through science and logic, I'm all ears for that. And I've sat through the debate, and he quite doesn't prove through science or logic. So in the first part, when I spoke about the contingency argument, I did say that the only thing it proves is that there might be an uncaused first cause that kickstarted the whole Big Bang and the universe. But it doesn't say, or it doesn't prove that the first uncaused cause is God itself. That takes a massive leap of faith, like everything related to religion. In this part, I'm going to talk about one of the most powerful and interesting and intuitive arguments put forward by theists and believers, and this logically follows the contingency argument. So, this is called the fine tuning argument. So, what does it say? It says three things. The first thing the fine tuning argument says is that, and this is something all scientists and physicists agree to, is that the physical constants or the constants of physics that govern this universe, call it gravity or the strong nuclear force or the cosmological constant, they're so finely calibrated, they're so finely adjusted to allow for the sustenance of our universe and for the existence of life as we know it. The second point it says is that if you change these constants, these three or four constants that govern the universe, even by a tiny bit, by 2%, 1%, 1 by 100th, whatever, right? If you change it by the trillionth bit also, the universe as we know would not exist. For example, if you change gravity, universe would not form. If you change the strong nuclear force, or if you, for example, if you reduce it, there will be only hydrogen or there won't be hydrogen, one of those two things. So essentially, the second point is that if you change the physical constants, there won't be the universe that you know about, or the universe that you know exists, or for that matter life. The third point it says is that the probability of these constants to be at their precise values is so low, it's so tiny, that it's almost impossible, or it's next to impossible for them to be at their values. And so since they are at their precise values, It has to be because of an intelligent designer. Those values were calibrated or has to be or have to be calibrated by an intelligent designer creator. So on the face of it, it's very intuitive, and you're almost tend to agree with this argument, saying that okay, think about it. What's the possibility of something with such low probability to be at that those precise values, and that enabled this universe and this life on earth and us humans, unless there is intention and agency and intelligence behind this whole thing. So I'll refute this argument and I'll show you the logical fallacy of this argument using, let's say, two examples. The first example is a pretty established example. So you wake up one fine Sunday morning and you start rolling dice. So to begin with, to make it easy, right, you just take, let's say, three dice and you start rolling it. And you do it, let's say, for about an hour or so. Just because you're bored, you're doing that, right? So you roll the dice, and on the 101st attempt, three sixes fall on all the three dice in one roll. But the 101st attempt, at that precise moment, your friend walks into the room and he notices the three sixes on all the three dice and says, "Hey, nicely placed." And you say, like, "No, I rolled the dice and it so happened that all the three sixes appeared. It was by chance, and because I rolled it 100 times prior to this event." And your friend says, "I don't agree. I don't believe you. The probability of three sixes falling on all the three dice at the same time, it's so low that it's impossible for me to believe that it was purely by chance. I'm sure you placed it intentionally that way." And you throw your hands up and say, like, "Okay, I can't quite convince this person." So now you see where I'm getting at. There is no way for you as a person in this universe, in this on this earth, to know for sure how many attempts at the Big Bang happened. In the contingency argument, we showed you that the Big Bang would have been caused by an eternal quantum fluctuation field. So, how do you know that the quantum fluctuation field didn't attempt trillions and trillions of Big Bangs? It has infinite patience. It has infinite time at its disposal. At its disposal. So it could have attempted a Big Bang. The Big Bang would have failed to create or sustain a universe. The universe would have collapsed on itself. Again, it would have attempted the same thing. Again, it would have collapsed. So maybe on the 21st attempt, or the 101st attempt, or the millionth attempt, or on the trillionth attempt, the physical constants were at their right place, just like the dice and the three sixes on all the three dice, that the universe sustained. And then once the universe sustained, star systems formed and galaxies formed, and the earth formed, and life on earth appeared. So the fine tuning argument, which says that for life to appear on earth and for this universe to exist, it has to be because of an intelligent designer. There, it quite doesn't prove that yet. So the second point I want to make is, if at all it's a finely tuned universe that enabled life, why is it that 99% of this universe is hostile to life? And as far as we know or can measure or see, this is the only place where life exists. And this is definitely the only place that intelligent or complex life exists. And most places in this universe are either they're boiling oceans of acid or frozen rock or gas giants or anything of that sort, which is hostile to life. So the fine tuning argument quite fails in this regard also. I'll leave you with one more example. Think of your typical lottery. Millions and millions of tickets are sold every week. Multiple attempts are made to get to a jackpot winner. After, let's say, 20 or 30 or 50 or 80 attempts, and after millions and millions of tickets are sold, there is one winner. From the perspective of that winner, it appears as if it's designed that way for him to win by some special divine designer with intention. But for the lottery office, somebody winning is a certainty. It just takes multiple attempts to get to that perfect alignment of numbers. And so the fine tuning argument, while intuitive, quite doesn't prove that the reason why this universe exists and sustains, or why life exists, it doesn't quite prove that it's because of an intelligent, intentioned designer, creator with agency, but it just only kind of shows that this is the universe we are in, and that's all there is to it. And we don't know how many universes were attempted at. So I'll leave you with that thought. If you have any comments to make, if you have any kind of an argument against my points, please mention it in the comments. And if you are my friend, you have my WhatsApp number, I'm free to discuss this in detail with you, either in person or over WhatsApp. So see you. I'm going to post another video. So one more thing I want to say quickly to wrap this up. This is a free form video. I don't have the patience to edit my videos, and I don't have the patience to have a nice setup. This is simply this is a basic webcam, and I don't even have a mic. So this is what it's going to be. My primary focus is on the content and on the argument. So don't go by the stylistic element of it or the aesthetics of this whole thing. This is what you're going to get. Thank you.